Well, welcome to this special editions of Catalyst Curated, folks. This is a special Vibecast edition, and have we got a treat for you tonight. Put your hands together for David Mirza. Over at Catalyst Curated, the one and only boss man himself. Now, he's got the looks, he's got the out-of-sight hustle, a brain mind that's as sharp as an axe, buff as a stud, and as heartfelt of a soul that you'll ever see. Mark my words, by the time we roll up this episode, you will all wish that he's your best friend, but you won't because I'll always be his favorite. They're tearing it up at Catalyst Curated, and it's as plain as day. You know, otherwise, I wouldn't be able to pay for my groceries this week. He's the real deal. He's got all the slick moves, all the smooth talk, and the funny know-how you can teach. But the magic, that's the stuff you can't really teach. That's the stuff you can't bottle. The heart of gold, the non-stop mojo, and a knack for training. I swear, if you see this guy on the gym floor, incredible. And if he wasn't slightly autistic, I'd swear he stepped out of a cosmic dream. Over the last 2 years, he's turned into one of my best friends, which makes me question my own taste in friends, and I'm sure his as well. But regardless, I wouldn't change it for the world. So, let's flip the script. Time to hear the tale from the source. So, David Mirza, first question. You've been looking insanely good lately, putting on a lot of muscle. I assume it's due to your programming. Who was your biggest influence?
Did you not like me before? Before I put on all this muscle? Yeah, this is just like, I took a deep dive into training and I was like, I have to perfect my programming skills. I spent days in the library, not even on the internet. I went back to the source, ancient Greeks, how Socrates was training. No, it's you. Yeah, you changed my programming. I built a lot of muscle. Yeah, here you go. You're happy?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, David. See, now I have it recorded so that I'll always have this compliment you gave me recorded.
Yeah, waking up, watching it every morning to get some energy for the day.
Praying to it, all the books, making it my ringtone, my alarm sound. So, early life, when did you get into fitness?
Fitness was trying to get into me for the longest time, and I resisted it. I tried every sport when I was a kid. My mom is super athletic. Basketball, table tennis. She was like on a national level, really good. And I didn't take after her at all in that. And I tried every single sport. I was always the smallest, the weakest, the most fragile. I had like zero body weight, basically. I was a skeleton. And I was terrible at every sport. And then eventually everyone started going to the gym when they were like 16. And my mom, because I was so fragile, didn't let me go to the gym, so I started training with body weight instead. That's where I got all my injuries from. I actually got to nice levels, like I was doing one-arm pull-ups and handstand push-ups without a wall and all kinds of levers. Front lever, back lever. No, I'm lying. I was never able to do front lever. And that's how it started. I'm still terrible at sports, but I'm actually okay at this gym thing.
Okay, so you started off with body weight, and what got you into the actual gym? When did your mom start to let you go to the gym? And how was that first experience? Did you like it, going to the gym relative to other sports?
Yeah, that was my dream, especially compared to body weight. Well, body weight training is not very useful when your body weight is like 50 kilos, right? You pretty soon max out everything. Mm-hmm. So it was very hard to progressively overload. The best thing about training in the gym is the progressive nature of it, right? Like incrementally, you can keep increasing the weight and keep adapting to it and getting stronger and building more muscle. That's what you have to be really smart about if you want to do that with just body weight. And I really couldn't at that high level anymore. So going to the gym was awesome. It was obviously a humbling experience because I was there as well, the smallest.
Okay, but you obviously didn't get into personal training from the get-go, so I know that you were pretty academic growing up. What did you end up going to university for? What did you end up studying?
Yeah, so I studied economics. I wanted to study psychology, which actually would have served me better as well, I think. But my mom sort of nudged aggressively nudged with a knife, no, I'm kidding, towards economics. And that's what I did, business administration and management. And afterwards, I did my, what do you call it, the trial work period? Internship.
Yeah.
And I realized I didn't want to sit in front of the computer. So I wanted to do a PT course. PT courses are 2 years in Hungary versus only like 3 months here in the UK. You don't learn anything either way. So I was like, why not do it in the UK instead? I just wanted to come to do that. And then I got a really good job afterwards, and then my whole life just spiraled, and I'm still stuck here.
So what made you ditch economics? Because you did the internship. I feel like it would have been pretty easy to get a job. But you decided to just move to London, start the PT course, and just go from there. So what changed your mind? Why did you not want to pursue economics further?
I mean, I did even have a job, right? Like I did the internship and then I stayed with that company. It was not a glamorous job or anything. It was super boring. In an old building, small window, working with a guy that I got along with but wasn't like best friends with or anything. Not super exciting, in front of the computer the whole time, and I just loved doing the gym. I never wanted to go into personal training, actually. I just literally did the course and then afterwards got a position at the best like personal training company in the UK, you know, like a position that usually people with my experience never really got. Like everyone else that was starting with me had about 5 years of personal training experience, and I was, I think, one of the first ones that had 0 experience, and I didn't even really speak English at that point. So it was my charm. Must have been all my people skills, right?
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's really interesting. So what do you think, why did these people hire you? Were you just good at it from the get-go? Was there like some kind of like magic like I described in the introduction, or was it just pure luck that they needed someone at that time?
I mean, like you said in the introduction so accurately, I am really smart, charming, and all that. No, but I am actually smart. This whole personal training thing is not really rocket science. As we had a guest on here who was like, well, it's usually not the brightest people going into personal training, and he's right. So it as much as I would love to tell you that it was my brilliance, it was just not very difficult to stand out, you know? Like I had a nice understanding of physics, nice understanding of biomechanics. You combine the two, put it into a gym setting, and everyone interviewing me, all the managers were like blown away, like, oh my God, how do you know that? I'm like, well, elementary school level physics.
Okay, and it's around that time where you met Jigme, right? How did you guys meet?
Yeah, so he was one of the first people I met in the UK. I was doing a PT course, and there was this like gorgeous guy. Now, mind you, I come from a small town, right? I didn't have the privilege, the blessing of seeing many Asian people and being surrounded by them. So there was this guy, and he was just so beautiful. And I was like, okay, well, I want to be friends with this guy. And then I have 0 people skills, 0 English skills. Jigme is Jigme. He doesn't want to talk to anyone. So I tried chatting him up, right? He resisted it like very, very efficiently. So I don't have a huge lot of confidence, and especially not when I was coming here, I didn't. So I think I tried initiating conversation with him like once, maybe. He cut it pretty short, and I was like, okay, well, I'm clearly not worthy of him. So I gave up. And then I don't know how, but somehow by the end of the PT course, when literally everyone, like the other, I don't know how many, 10 people in the class were all like copying their answers off my like test sheets. I don't know why. Like I said, it was not very difficult to stand out. When all of them were copying their answers off of me, we somehow became friends with Jimmy. And then, yeah, he was literally my first friend in the UK.
So you guys became friends off of him, copying off of you. It's a beautiful love story. You love to see it.
I don't think he actually was, you know. Everyone else was. He wasn't copying. I was like offering it to him. Please. Please take it.
Oh, that's funny. So after that, Where were you working there after the PT course?
Cannot name the company anymore.
Okay.
I cannot name the company anymore because I feel like my standards have improved so much. Like I'm such high quality now in what we do at our business that actually mentioning that I'm from there is doing them a favor and not me anymore. Like I don't gain any more credibility by mentioning their name, you know?
Okay, very fair. What made you quit there?
You know when they say that usually a company like stinks from the head or whatever, like the main guy. If the main guy is shit, the rest of the company just like trickles down. That was the definition of that company. So it was a very toxic place. How the whole management system was not very long term, and a lot of people who were like founders of the company, designing all the systems and everything. One guy in particular got fired because he went for lunch with someone that used to work there. And they wanted him to publicly apologize in front of all of us for going out with that friend and humiliating the business. So I was like, okay, this doesn't really sound long term. And then when I also saw that, you know, they were very much into the before after pictures, which is ironic of me to say with this background. But when I realized that none of those people actually sustained their result, like everyone was dieted in a very drastic way, you know, like 1100 calories. 20,000 steps. It was stupid. And obviously none of those people could actually sustain a result afterwards. That's when I was like, okay, well, I just don't really see a future here. And I started actually working for that guy that went out with our guy for lunch. Okay.
And how long did that last?
So 1 year at the first place, 1 year working for the second guy.
Oh, is this when you, after the second year, ditched being an employee to building your own company and going full-on entrepreneur?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, okay. Well, there was a whole scandal in the second place as well. I had a really, really good friend. Actually, Jigme was working there with me as well. I'm not sure if you know that.
No.
Yeah, so Jigme, Christian, Rangi and I worked for this guy. And that guy fired Christian, stole his last paycheck of like 6,000 pounds. Oh. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to work here either then. The business was going really well. Like that guy had it good. He had 4 really good trainers. Business was booming. And then out of nowhere, fires that guy, steals his last paycheck. Like firing him, I don't understand. It's his business. He's managing it. He does whatever he wants. But stealing his last paycheck, I was like, okay, I'm quitting again. So I went solo. And then 2 months later, COVID started. That was exciting, being a freelancer, finally, for the first time, straight into COVID.
Yeah, that must have been really scary. How do you manage to start growing a business in a time like that? You know, because personal training, at least what it used to be, is very much so in person, right? And everything was closing down in Europe, or at least in Paris, and I'm sure it was the same in the UK. So how did you get the clients? How did you create the systems that you have online? How did that all get started during COVID, during a really hard time?
Creating the systems was easy because I didn't have anything else to do, right? So I could work. That's when I built my first website from scratch, all by myself. So that was the easy part. But actually building the business and getting clients, I have Tony Folland to thank for that. He was one of the first of us to like pivot into training people on Zoom. It was such an alien idea. And he started doing it. And then I realized that actually all our clients are probably doing the same thing as we are, just sitting at home, not knowing what's going to happen. So I just messaged them, and we started virtual training. And then at that time, I had a lot of time on my hands, so I started doing cold outreaches. I started actually getting really good results with those clients virtually, without much training equipment. Obviously, a big factor was that their social life was kind of quiet as well. So they had literally full control over their health. So a lot of people got in the best shape of their lives during COVID. And then off of that, referrals came, and then the whole thing just grew really nicely.
Mm-hmm. And I know that at some point you were kind of like stuck, I think, at around exactly 13 clients. First of all, how far into your own entrepreneurial journey was that in? And then how did you just get out of that? Did you do anything specific or just kept getting results and referrals?
Yeah, so I wasn't actually stuck at 13, 15 clients. It was 13, 15 online clients. So in person was always kind of busy because I was just really good at it. And to be honest, I was really not good at the online side of things. I was just not good enough. That's why it wasn't growing. I wasn't pleasant. I had my Eastern European side come through a lot, and not any of the rest of my personality. So check-ins for the clients were actually miserable. Because of that, they weren't bought in. They didn't stay long enough. I just didn't get results. And then I signed up with Coach by Christian, who we're going to release an episode with. It's already recorded. And when I saw how he was dealing with clients and actually like just letting some personality through in the check-ins as well, that's when I started doing that. And that's when the whole thing started really growing.
So you also now, you've built your own company, right? You've got a pretty awesome team around you. So at what point did you decide that you needed to scale this up and to maybe turn this into a company with multiple employees, into like a whole system? And how big of a jump was that from where you were before?
There wasn't really any other choice because I kept getting results, relentlessly transforming everyone. Not even kidding. Plus, actually, I was doing my own photo shoot in 2023, and I just feel like I was talking to Coach by Christian about this as well. There's a huge correlation between inquiries and you doing your own transformation. In 2023, I just got stupid busy. I had about 20 in-person clients and 40 online clients. So 60 clients, just under 60 clients in total, which means I was doing about 45 sessions per week, like actually gym sessions with clients in person. And I had the other 40 clients checking in with me on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 10 check-ins each. So that was kind of busy. And I literally couldn't have taken anyone else on without sacrificing my quality of service. And we went on a holiday. I asked Jigme to cover for me. It was kind of a long holiday. And as usual, everyone loved him. Oh my God, he's so good. He's so smart. He's so beautiful. So I was like, Jesus, am I going to even have a job when I come back from this holiday? You know? And then after that, I was like, okay, well, I can't take on anyone anymore. Jigme has been meaning to go to Hong Kong for about 17 years at that point. I was like, okay, how about I just hire him? But he didn't want to do online. And then I bumped into you around the same time. I will tell the story again. How you trained on the gym floor made so much sense. I was like, who is this guy? Like, this is my playground. He's not supposed to be making so much sense. And I woke up to him and I'm like, hey, who is your coach? Because like, you look 15 years old, but you make so much sense with your training. And you're like, I'm coaching myself. And I was blown away, you know? And then after that, we started chatting a little bit more. You started asking me all these stupid questions. We got into all these arguments, none of which you won, but I saw that you had the potential. And then one day I woke up to you and I'm like, hey, do you want to work for me? But I knew that you had like an actual education, that you studying politics and economics as well. So I was just joking. I was like, hey, do you want to work for me? And you were like, yeah, man. And I said, the rest is history. So I just hired both of you, and it turned out awesome.
I mean, Jigme, I totally understand why you would hire him, right? Beautiful, looks awesome, and is great on the gym floor as well. But me,
I say it in recording. You are beautiful as well.
Oh, thank you. This is my second alarm. Another thing that I really, really admire about you a lot is, we speak about this a lot, and it's just your ability to just troubleshoot and know exactly what the client needs from a certain movement at what time, how to coach it, how to cue it, and all that. Does that just come with experience? Did you learn that from anyone specific? Is there any of those two companies where that really started to come in, or was that just more so through experience, getting clients, making mistakes, et cetera, or did you have more of like a mentor to guide you through that?
Well, I don't want to sound big-headed, but I think some people just have a better eye for movement. Obviously, there needs to be an underlying understanding of biomechanics, right? How joints move, what tissues are surrounding certain joints, what you're supposed to be seeing. And once you have that understanding, you still don't necessarily have the eye for it, like to be able to determine whether what you're looking for is happening or not. And again, Tony Folland, he has the eye the number one I. And he taught me a lot. Like, there wouldn't have been anyone else around me that I could have asked about high level questions, and he was always there. He was always many, many steps ahead of me. So without him, I don't think I would have been able to get to this level. But yeah, we both have the understanding, we both have the eye for it, and I think it's just a unique combination. Without the eye, you can't really do it.
Mm-hmm. And how do you get that to clients? Because all the theory in the world is good, right? But if you can't actually put it in a simple way or in a coachable way on the gym floor, it doesn't really mean much. So how do you get to client moving like a pro, moving basically like you within the span of a couple of weeks? Yeah, how do you do that?
I think a basic understanding of exercise progression, like what is more complex, what is less complex, that's pretty basic. But the next thing is communicating to the clients at their level. Like, I hate it when other coaches on the gym floor are like, oh, please flex your lumbar spine a little bit more. Like, what does that actually say to a client? Nothing. So similar actually on the training and nutrition front as well. You want to always talk to a client so that they understand. It's not about you sounding smart. It's not about like how can you pack as much information into one sentence. It's literally about however dumb it is, whatever helps the client is the best thing.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And what are some of the things you tell clients? Let's say you have a brand new client, first session or two. What are the key things you're trying to look at? And does this vary a lot by exercise, or is there like certain things that you want them to know, that you want to drill into them to set them up for success? So some must-know concepts and such.
It might not be the most fun topic for the listener to listen to training in a spoken media, but basically most starters with me, I will just put them through the basic movement patterns in the first session. There will be an upper body push, an upper body pull, a lower body push, a lower body pull, and I'm just seeing their movement, some sort of competencies. And I start them off at, let's say, 30% level, and some people hit that 30% sort of complexity pretty easily. And those people can level up pretty soon to do more complex exercises, more complex movement patterns, whereas a lot of the time, people can't really necessarily hit the 30% level, and then you have to keep dumbing it down, which comes back to what we talked about with the exercise sort of progression and regression theme. And then also what I just expect from everyone starting just to ingrain these basic movement patterns is moving with the same range, so finding the end ranges of every movement. Where is the top of the movement? Where is the bottom of the movement? Making those bottom and top positions consistent with every single rep. How do we move between those two endpoints with the same speed, ideally? Okay,
nice. So I know that a few years ago, when, I'm not sure when this was, 5-6 years ago, you were in a little bit of a training rut. You know, eating clean, thinking it was the right thing to do, still hitting the gym, but barely moving the needle. So at that point, what was the big eureka moment that kind of turned it all around? And how did you shake things up from a training and a food perspective?
I think a lot of the time people want to have a smart solution. And I'm one of those people because I'm not exactly dumb. I always want to work smart, right? And this is, I think, a recurring theme with some of our clients as well. They want to just trick the system or find a way around it, whereas a lot of the time the solution is more. Harder work, more work. So what I needed to do at that point was just eating way more, because with my metabolism, you know, it's everyone tells you, I don't know, what's the RDA for the calorie intake for like a 70 kilo man? Is it like 2,000?
Yeah, it's something stupidly like 2,000.
So I was like, okay, I'm eating 2,000 calories. My weight is not going up. I'm eating 2,500. It's not going up. I'm eating 3,000. Wow. Well, it turns out I could go beyond 3,000, eventually touch 4,000. So it was just doing more.
Okay. And that was like the key to open it all, right? It's just that from that point on, you started making crazy progress, or it was training something that you had to change up a little bit too?
That was the nutrition side. It's actually ironic because on the training side, I had to do the opposite. I had to do less because I wasn't really recovering. I had to eat a lot of food. My sleep, I've never been famous for my sleep. I'm not the most chilled person or stress-free person. So overall, my recovery was not great. And then dump a truckload of training volume on top of that you need to recover from. It just didn't happen. So I was in a 5-year phase of basically overtraining, never recovering. And then when you stepped into my life, took my training volume down, that's when the magic started not really happening, but that's when it was really taken to the next level. Mm-hmm. Like right now, I 100 million % cracked it. I know exactly what to do. Mm-hmm. All I need now is time. Doing the same thing for longer, I would just keep going. It's easy.
Yeah. And it shows in the past few months, you've just made exponential gains. You really transformed yourself. Sir. Okay. You mentioned that you're a pretty nervous, or you were pretty nervous, anxious, and overall not super chill person. And I know that there's arguably 4 things that we can put our finger on that really changed you as a person. And the first one is your ayahuasca journeys. So you went to Peru twice and experienced a lot of crazy things there. So I just want you to just kind of like talk us through that, because I know that psychedelics are generally a little bit taboo. It's a pretty big step to actually take a plane, go and do one of the harder type of psychedelics in Peru. And yeah, just going through it. So what made you want to do this? How did that idea get into your mind? And how were the experiences?
I want to clarify that I don't consider myself an anxious or a nervous person. I just know I'm not the most chilled. I'm definitely not anxious or nervous.
Okay, correction.
I think we just didn't really know what we were dealing with. Like, maybe if I knew what ayahuasca was, I would have never gone. But we were just like, yeah, we wanted to try it. It's a drug. Why not? When, if not now? And all that.
How was it? How was the ceremony? And did you know anything about it before? Like, a little bit even? Like, what type of intentions to go into it with? And how did it change you, that first experience? How did you go in? And then how did you come out as a person?
I did have an intention. Mostly it was being less controlling. I was super controlling back then, and I got exactly that. So first ceremony, nothing happened. Second ceremony, I don't want to go much in detail because I will definitely sound crazy, but the experience was I drank the ayahuasca, nothing happened again. At that point, I was like, man, I paid good money to be here for the retreat as well as for the flight. Previous night, nothing happened. I need to make something happen. So then I went out for the second serving and I basically overdosed heavily. And by the time I got back to my mat after drinking the second dose, I felt it starting and I knew it was a mistake. And I laid down on my mat. I was in a dark, earthy, like a groundy place, slightly wet. That's what I felt basically. My eyes were closed. And I started feeling vines sort of entangling me, which is crazy because ayahuasca itself is made of a vine. And those vines started sort of entangling me more and more and tighter, and eventually it was really hard to breathe. Like, I genuinely had physiological symptoms. It's crazy. And then it started sort of breaking all my bones and whatnot, and I was, if you looked at me from the outside, it must have looked like exorcism, because I was just twisting in all kind of weird ways and I really couldn't control my body. And eventually, you know, when you do ayahuasca and trauma comes up or you're getting rid of something negative, you purge, right? There are different ways of purging, letting go of the bad energy. One is puking. That's the one everyone knows about. But there's also diarrhea. You can yawn and you can cry. So these are the 4 main ways of purging, I think. And then my face was like getting shoved against the wall of the building as I was laying there, and I couldn't move, and I felt the wood squishing my eye, and I still couldn't move because I was being crushed by the vines. And at that point, I started feeling that I was gonna puke, and I thought I was gonna die, choking on my puke because I was literally this close to the wall. And then somehow I didn't. And then eventually I got crushed to death, I genuinely died. And that's when I realized that if I don't change and I don't let go of this sort of controlling behavior, this is how my children would feel growing up. Anyway, crazy. And then, fortunately, I was reborn. Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Casual Tuesday.
Yeah, what a realization. And that second one, what happened during that second one?
I must say, though, I was the most skeptical person when it comes to anything remotely spiritual. Like, I didn't believe in anything, like hard logic. And that experience sort of changed me. I'm still not super spiritual, but I'm like, man, weird things can happen. And the second time, I went a year later. Yeah, let's not talk about that. Not as spicy. Some things went a little bit off. Dying was the best part.
Yeah, at least you only died once. You know what it feels like.
Exactly.
Now we're just waiting on that second one. Wow, okay. And then how big of a change did that make on your person?
What made the bigger change was actually different. Still the first time around. No, that was actually the same ceremony. I used to have this unbearable trait. I hope my mom will not listen to this episode, but kind of runs in the family. That whatever I think, I'm 100 million % convinced that I'm right. Right? Everyone else is an idiot, and I'm right. And that ceremony taught me that I'm not always right. In a different way, what happened after being reborn and whatnot, I'm not going to go into detail on that. That made me much easier to get along with, much more chilled, less arrogant. So that entire 12 hours of me dying and being reborn is probably the most productive 12 hours of my life.
Wow. It's incredible. Yeah. Did people around you notice a difference almost straight away? Or do these things like creep in and take a while to realize or like to put into your own life?
Yeah, it's kind of tricky because when you're there and when you come back, you feel like you completely changed, but those sort of effects wear off. If you don't integrate what you learn, you don't actively work on trying to implement the things that you learn out there under the influence, they go away over time. So actually it's like, imagine psychedelic use as digging super, super deep to gather information so you can uncover. Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will govern your life and you will call it fate. Psychedelics is an easy and quick way of making things conscious, so you can go to your therapist with all those and actually fix things.
Okay, yeah. So you're saying it's just the difficult part is not letting it go and not letting it go to waste. So you mentioned therapy a little bit, and funny enough, we have the same therapist. If people don't know, Neil, super therapist.
What a coincidence! Small world.
I know. Yeah. I was lucky enough to be directly referred to by David. It changed my life. But
like so many of our clients whose lives he also changed.
Mm-hmm. Just wonderful guy. And yeah, well done, David, for finding him and showing him to the world, to us. But you said
it was, of course, Robin finding him.
Then we all thank Robin. So you spoke about therapy briefly, and I know that's one of the other things that really changed your life and turned you into this jolly, all sunshine and rainbows type of person you are now. What was the key? Because I know you've been doing therapy for quite a long time, and you've really made a lot of meaningful change, especially in the past 6 months. Now, I know that's a combination of, ayahuasca, fixing your digestion, which we'll get into, a ton of therapy, and then also San Pedro. So how does the therapy aspect of it, what changed? Did you start identifying new problems you had? Just time?
With psychedelics, you uncover, you can do the same thing, by the way, without the psychedelics if you want to. I think it's just a lot more work. I think psychedelics just speed things up. So they just uncover quicker than therapy. So you uncover some core issues, and then I think you just spend a lot of time digesting how those core issues influence you in different areas of life. And yeah, it was pretty much a lot of time spent on sort of the same subject and understanding those key components from different angles, really.
Okay, another thing I mentioned, and I've heard you mention quite a lot of times, is how fixing your digestion quite literally change your life in terms of mood, in terms of, just willingness to live as well, and a bunch of other good things like that. So, first of all, tell us, what were the issues, and then what did you do to change them, and then how did you feel before and after?
The issues were many. I come from a very if it fits your macros kind of thinking background. So, like I said in the beginning as well, I just wanted a sort of smart solution as opposed to doing just really the basics. So I ended up hitting my macros perfectly for years without hitting any nutrition, really. Hitting your macros without eating a vegetable. Oh God, do I have to? Okay, I wasn't a complete idiot. But when you take your food so high, when you're genuinely having like 4,000 calories a day, it's not very difficult to run into issues, you know? Like if I just had to eat 2,500, 3,000 calories, it's easy on your digestive system. When you're pushing 4,000, you have to be smart about it. And I wasn't at all. So fullness at that point is a real issue, you know? You just can't eat enough, can't fit enough volume into your stomach. And then what do you do in order to make it more roomy? Well, you just cut out stuff that you usually diet on. Leaner protein sources, fruit, veg, right? Those are just like fillers. Well, turns out that's the nutrition that you need in order for your gut health not to go to poo-poo. Mm-hmm. And if you do incorporate those, then suddenly now you have a ton of food volume and it's too much to be digested properly. And then you start having reflux and SIBO and all that kind of jazz. So yeah, I managed to do a full Pokemon on digestive troubles and collect them all.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, all I'm hearing is Cocoa Pops, rice, chicken.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, bagel, smoked salmon, spinach for breakfast. Second meal, cream of rice. So basically ground rice, very finely ground rice with fruit and some almond butter and whey protein. For my second meal. And then I think I doubled up on the same meal, which was a negligible amount of vegetables, rice, chicken breast, and some rice cakes for like a texture difference twice. Those were my 4 meals. And then that was my non-training day. And my training day was substituting the first chicken rice vegetable meal with Cocoa Pops. So yeah, 200-300 grams of Cocoa Pops. Frozen fruit, protein powder. So, like I said, it's still like 4 servings of vegetables, right? But it wasn't enough. I had to be smarter about supplementation. I had to just eat a larger variety of food. And now I'm actually back on 3,500, 3,700 calories without any digestive issues. Yeah, because I'm just doing things smarter.
Mm-hmm. And what can you attribute that to, the biggest change? Because I know your food volume is quite high. So what allows you now to be able to get some veggies and some fruits and some micronutrients, which are super important compared to before?
Well, I do think that I already went into the 2-year bulking and eating 4,000 calories with pre-existing digestive issues. I must have had some issues. Like, I don't know how long I've had leaky gut for. Leaky gut is still something that I haven't fully fixed, but I think I might have been even born with it. Like, I, from birth, had terrible skin issues. I might have had it, like, literally forever. And then when you have those, it's really easy to contract, like, the rest of them. So then I took some time actually fixing everything. Again, leaky gut still there a little bit, not fully. And, for example, things like my stomach acid production is higher, so I digest things easier. In general, I'm less inflamed, I'm more chilled, I'm in a better mood, and all that will promote better digestion as well. So even though I'm basically pushing the same food volume, it's much easier to digest now.
Yeah, it's just because you're better equipped to handle it, to handle the extra food and volume. Is this something you see a lot in Gen Pop? Is this something that a lot of your clients you think do have digestive problem, leaky gut, SIBO, candida, stuff like that?
It's hard to say without testing. Some cases are very, very obvious. You don't need to really test for. We have quite a few of those. But without testing, you can't always be sure. But I think too many people have it. Too many people have some sort of issue.
Yeah, and a lot of people, like, they don't even know that they have these digestive troubles, and it's maybe kind of ruining their life a little bit. I know that personally, when my digestion is not on track at all, like my mood, my energy, everything just goes straight downhill. And I'm pretty in tune with what I feel. And I know that most people, like, they don't even know this is happening, and they'll go their whole life just thinking that this is just how they're supposed to go through life. And what you really understated, I think, is how much of a difference this makes in your mood. I mean, if you read some of these SIBO and leaky gut stories on the internet of people, they're quite literally suicidal before. They're depressed. They have just all of these negative thoughts. And then once they start towards fixing that, their life literally does a 180. And this sounds very like childlike, but they literally just start getting happier, and their days just improve so much, and just their overall well-being just improves. So I think that's just one thing that's really, if people have these sort of think they might have a sort of digestive issue, go ahead and get that test, because it might quite literally change your life like it did for you. I mean, I remember the difference in your mood and your overall like chillness and your overall attitude for life just skyrocketed as soon as you got your digestion fixed.
Yeah, let me just add to that yeah, exactly, like the longer people don't fix their digestive issues, the more they get used to it as just being the new norm, you know? Both on the mechanical level as well as the digestive level, people age, we sort of accumulate some damage, right? Or we keep exposing ourselves to different stressors, and then we attribute it to aging. But a lot of the time, if you just get rid of the stressor, you don't have the issue, right? And people just accept their sleep going downhill, their joints hurting, their digestion going downhill. It's not aging. It's just an extended period of time of not taking care of it.
Yeah, and like you said, it just becomes a new baseline.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how many of our clients have these digestive issues? They don't necessarily have to have any of these like actual big issues, you know, SIBO, candida, overgrowth, whatever, leaky gut. But it's hard to find clients that get in the best shape of their lives and their digestion doesn't improve along with it.
Yeah, like kind of the biggest ROI things people could do for their digestion. What do you think those could be? Like a good probiotic, fiber, and then what else?
Drinking water. Stomach acid is mostly water. So if you don't have any water intake, nice, then it's hard to produce stomach acid to break down stuff. And just eating more plants, like whatever plants really. And the higher variety, the better really.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very interesting. And I've heard you speak about wanting to get a little bit more into longevity coaching. Now, what exactly is longevity coaching? Is it more on the mental side, the physical side, or the, again, digestion side? What does getting more so into longevity mean for you?
To be completely honest, it's not getting more into longevity, because longevity is just a bullshit trendy word at the moment, but it's really about doing the basics. Oh, you're sleeping better. You're improving your longevity. Wow, you're pooping solid instead of having diarrhea. You're improving your longevity. Ooh, you went for a run. Longevity hack. Like, this is just a bullshit trend at the moment. What I was talking about to you is how we market, like how we present our service. Like, we wouldn't do things very differently, because the basics is longevity. Improving your sleep, improving your digestion, getting to a body composition that's more healthy will increase your lifespan. Doing some cardio, some baseline activity, this is longevity. Mm-hmm. I was just talking about, instead of emphasizing before-after pictures, we should talk more about the actual health benefits that reside behind these pictures, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you said, 95% of the benefits just come from getting lean, training a little bit, doing some cardio, and then just overall eating healthy. You get these people like Brian Johnson, right? Super interesting. A human science experiment where he just goes even further into, I guess, doing, not longevity, right? Just doing the basic stuff, but plus. And he just goes far and beyond, but it's really interesting.
And then the other reason why not to go into longevity is we have these clients that we battle for 10 weeks to have their fourth serving of protein. Having that fourth serving of protein will contribute more to your longevity than using nasal strips and red light therapy and your cryo chamber. And, so these little things that are trendy nowadays are adding marginal stuff. And most of the longevity benefits come from, again, the basics. The same basics that we use to help people get in shape.
Mm-hmm. Another reason to not get into it is it's expensive.
Yeah, it's very expensive. Yeah.
So let's move on a little bit towards the future.
Yeah, let's not move on. I'm sorry. Let's not move on. I have this client, very smart, one of the smartest people that I know. I love him. He doesn't want to live forever, but he's very carpe diem. He's very aware of death eventually reaching him. Accordingly, he's very interested in everything longevity related. And yet, I cannot convince him to ditch his 2 drinking sessions per week.
Yeah.
Does he need a cryo chamber? Does he need blue light blockers at night? He just needs to nail the basics.
Mm-hmm. It feels like certain type of people like this, maybe they know that they're doing certain things pretty badly, or like there's stuff that they can improve on, so they kind of want to perfect everything around it. But that little extra % of perfection you get just by stopping the original habit, you get like 5%. So it's just majoring in the minors kind of, when you could just kind of cut down on the alcohol or something.
And it's not me being super anti-alcohol. It's not like in order for you to get lean, you need to never drink. But if your main goal is longevity, if you're so conscious of death, well, let's just nail the basics. Let's sleep 7 hours, not 5. Let's not drink.
Yeah, definitely. Talking about the future and longevity. Not longevity, whatever. What are your personal goals for the next 5 years?
I want to crack this business thing. It's a difficult thing to realize that in order to get to the next level, I need not to be a good coach anymore and get good results anymore. It's really sad because I'm so good at it, right? I just want to keep doing what I'm good at, but instead I need to get better at the business side of things. And I do want to crack that. So we have a few coaches. Let's see, 5 in-person coaches, 20 clients each. That would be nice. Personally, getting to 87 kilos, 10% body fat, dreamy. At that point, 5 years from now, I really hope I have someone that I will eventually have a family with, or maybe 5 years from now, I'm like a baby is just about to pop out or something. And finding somewhere where I feel more home, I feel more settled in.
Okay, and where do you think that could be?
I don't know. It's actually pathetic. Like, after all the work I've done, every kind of psychedelic, all that therapy, talking to everyone, I still have no clue. And I still have no clue how to figure it out. Like, my soul is just rebelling against London. But there's really, if I think about it, there's no reason to rebel against London other than the shit weather.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That is a very good reason. Because when you think about it, there's no real... What is there similar to London? New York, maybe? In terms of the possibilities you do get here, the type of people you get to meet, and just overall like a place to expand a business. There's really not that many other similar places in Europe or in the world, probably a handful. But from, like you said, a raising family standpoint, I'm sure there are a lot better cities. Exactly. So you're just going through your time you have to create the business, raise it. I mean, you've already created it, you've already raised it, but even further. And then from there, maybe thinking about moving somewhere for your family and such. What are you going to do with the online side of the business? Is your goal is in-person personal training your thing? Is that what you want to keep doing? Is that what you get the most enjoyment out of?
We're just going to burn the online side of things. Just fire the clients, fire the trainers. I see no future there.
Okay, awesome. I'll be back in 5 minutes. I just have to go cry, okay? Okay. I mean, to be honest, I
Well,
would
listen,
absolutely love
I'm
to, like,
really to what?
in person. As soon as I can get stuff together on the personal side of things, that would be like. I mean, I do understand what you mean. It's super fulfilling. You actually get to see people face to face, right? And yeah, you just get to be in an environment that you like. Especially if we open our own gym, fingers crossed. We'll be around like people we just love. You, Jigme, me, maybe, and yeah, we'll be able to just have a great work environment and just have the good pieces of equipment we'll be able to do, and that just really is kind of dreamy, to be honest.
Yeah. In terms of where to live, I don't think that my chasing these most cutthroat of cities is coming from a good place. So maybe I'll just do some more therapy. I figure the rest of my issues out, and I will want to settle down somewhere where it's more chilled, more sunny, in which case I will benefit more from, or I will only be able to probably do the online side of things better. So I'm really just waiting for stuff to develop, and also waiting for either side of the business to take off a little bit. Like, not take off a little bit, but just like disproportionately compared to the other.
Mm-hmm. Talking about therapy, how much more do you think there is to uncover? How much more do you think you have to improve on yourself? I mean, I know people say you can always improve, but there does come a point where you don't really need therapy anymore. And like, how close do you think you're to that?
I think this where to live thing is my last medium-sized block. Big blocks, all sorted. Small blocks will always remain some.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, it's really interesting putting it into blocks. So, in a big city like London, where you feel you have to conquer anything, do you do anything else than work and go to the gym and then just work on the business? Like, what do you do outside of work to relax a little bit? Hobbies and such?
This is my least favorite podcast episode so far, man.
Really? Is it because you can't smile and nod?
I don't really have a life. Any sort of hobbies I have or had are very very isolated. I used to do a lot of music, 15 years of classical guitar. I was in top 20 in Hungary. I don't do that anymore. I want to play the piano, but I never started actually learning it. So at the moment, and this moment has been lasting for about 5 years, I'm pretty one-dimensional. Occasionally I do some bachata, Latin dancing. I do have friends. I hang out with my friends. I used to travel more. Now I travel a little bit. I do genuinely enjoy the gym, despite it being my job as well. So, like, gymming was one of my main sources of happiness. Not even the training. Like, I'm not a meathead, but just like the whole understanding around it. And because that's my job now, I can't even list it as a hobby. I listen to philosophy podcasts while I do skipping in the morning. I don't know. I really don't have a life.
Okay, and what's like...
Which puts even more pressure on me to actually succeed with this business thing, because the only good way of justifying not having a life is succeeding with the business. But what if I don't do either? Horrible. Anyway, see, the demons.
Yeah, wow. You've been a coach for about 7-8 years. What was your biggest takeaway as a coach? Like, what's the one thing that seems to always come back up?
Biggest takeaway versus what always comes back up, maybe two different things. Biggest takeaway for me is, however much I don't want it to be the case, personality is a huge factor, right? People will train and sign up with people that they like. Not the smartest ones, not the best result producing ones, but people that they like. Fortunately, I'm extremely likable, so that's not an issue. What is like a recurring thing? It's just the basics. It's boring. Like, you know, when you get into it, you learn the basics about fitness, and then you spend a lot of time, you go down different rabbit holes, and you get a little bit astray because you learn just the weird things. You start trying to like find the smart solutions. like trying to discover other things that other people haven't thought about. And then you keep learning and you realize everything just leads back to the same basics.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like that graph, At the beginning, you start to learn something. You think, oh, wow, this is interesting. And then you get like a month in and you're like, I know everything. And then it just starts going back down and you realize you don't know nothing at all. And this is where the true growth happens. And you realize that, the basics basically work.
Dunning-Kruger, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what was the biggest mistake you've made do you think, on your own fitness journey?
Not starting earlier. All my clients, I tell them to get their children to train as early as possible. It's not going to stunt their growth. Gymnasts are not tiny because they start training when they're 4 years old. They're tiny because the best gymnasts need to be tiny. They need to have short levers in order to be the best gymnasts. And I don't know, maybe making all the mistakes was actually my journey. I think in terms of coaching, in terms of my job, it will actually serve me. But man, I wish I just had a good coach from the beginning who was like super, super on point, telling me exactly what to do, and I would probably be double the size by now. But going through it, experiencing all the mistakes will serve me better as a service provider.
That's interesting. Did you, when you first started all those years ago, did you have anyone to look up to? Did you read a specific book? Did you have a training partner that showed you stuff?
I was the training partner showing stuff, and I just read a lot, mostly Paulie Quinn.
Who is that?
Big strength and conditioning coach from the, I don't know, 90s, 2000s.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever get to reading the Arnold book?
What Arnold book?
Really? Are you serious? The Encyclopedia of Modern Bodybuilding? It's the book that got me into bodybuilding. Well, okay.
No, man, I don't read from celebrities. I read from the scientists, exactly.
Mr. Olympia, 5 times. Come on. Put some respect on his name.
Celebrity.
Yeah. Put the cookie down. Okay. Third alarm. Okay, let's get into the Q&A section. So this is from our audience. We have quite a number of questions. Only 4 of them are serious. So we're going to get into the first serious one, unfortunately. So this is from my friend Nico, and he asks, how do you deal with that many girls who are attracted to you on a daily basis? Because you are a very handsome man.
If this is the serious question, I'm not looking forward to the unserious ones. Also, shout out to Nico for his relentless support. We love you.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, man, life is hard. Like, just being attractive is really a curse. I don't know what he's talking about. Nico, are you the girl that's super into me? Please say yes. He's gorgeous. For the listener, Nico is the most beautiful man on the planet. Like, he's
mind-blowing.
When you think Jigme is hot, yeah. You think Jigme is hot? Just wait until Nico grows goes through puberty or whatever.
He's not gonna like that one. Okay, now for some actual. Yeah, Nico is just absolutely gorgeous. Like, it's just every photo. You can't get a bad. I have hundreds of photos with him. There's probably 2 or 3 bad ones.
Oh my god! Yeah, he's typical. He's one of those people, right? Like, you know those reels when someone, like, you're trying to take a bad picture of someone, and they just always turn out gorgeous. That's Nico. Mm-hmm.
It's pretty funny. We were making a Hinge profile with David, and we were looking at a bunch of photos I have. Yeah, just absolutely gorgeous. Plus, he's good at chess. And extremely smart. Very brilliant guy. We were looking at a bunch of photos.
Studies astrophysics.
Yeah. Just special brain of his. We were looking at a bunch of photos of mine to create like an online dating profile for me, which I have not yet concluded. And I just have a bunch of photos with Nico. And every time I would look good, and then Nico would just
crop him off.
He was just too beautiful. It was just distracting, even for me.
He's got to be cropped off, yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's going to love this. Let's get into some actual serious questions. Now, I don't want you to call out people specifically, so I'm just gonna like let you build an archetype. Who is your most and least favorite client? Question from Sanjay.
My question from Sanjay.
Yeah, you're Sanjay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I totally thought this was a question from Mike Yuri, actually. So I was going to say my favorite client is absolutely Mike Yuri, despite him actually listening to any of the podcasts, so he would hear this answer. No, but I thought it was going to be him. But okay. Archetype of good clients. Clients that communicate, really. They don't need to, I don't want obedient people. They don't need to be like military. It's nice, boring, whatever, gets the job done for sure. I'm someone that asks a lot of questions, and I don't mind when people do the same thing. Like if they want to get an understanding, that's probably going to serve them better in the long run anyway. Least favorite clients are the ones that, one, don't try. Like they just put zero effort in. It doesn't need to be like legendary effort, but some effort needs to be there. And the second one is those people that what they say and how they act doesn't align, and they just keep up that behavior.
Mm-hmm. I think another one that is pretty annoying is when people sign up with you, but they decide to not listen to what you say. So they've tried all these other different methods that have clearly not worked for them. And then at some point, you keep telling them, listen to me, we're trying something different. This clearly didn't work. And then they're just kind of being combative and defensive. I'm lucky to not have had any of those for now. But yeah, I know that from some of our chats, those are kind of just trying to find a new way to tell someone the same thing. It is quite frustrating.
You're totally right. But I think those kind of people are much easier to deal with, because if you sit them down and say, listen, you are here for a reason. You signed up because everything else you tried did not work. I'm trying to tell you what will work, but you're resisting it. What's the point of working together? That usually puts them in place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. These next three are actually from Sanjay, so I will stop saying his name every time I ask a question. What is your biggest fear?
Shit.
Yeah. I'm glad I'm not in the hot seat.
Wow. Thanks, Sanjay. Biggest fear is probably not succeeding with this whole business thing.
Okay.
Because I justify sacrificing so many things because of the business that there's really, if I don't succeed with it, there's no justification for it, right? I also, when I was younger, I set certain goals for myself in terms of what lifestyle I want, what sort of financial background I want, and I don't want to be that person that just grows up and sort of comes down to reality, because it's the same thing as sort of giving up. So yes, some of those goals were a little bit very much unachievable. I don't want to progressively age and give up on more and more of my dreams, Mm-hmm. Jesus Christ, Sanjay, thanks.
So that kind of ties into the next one. What are your entrepreneurial and business goals, right? Just scaling the business up. To what point?
Yeah, so I need to develop an acquisition channel for clients. We've grown, to be honest, considering that we've only growing through referrals, we've grown a lot. But it's only ever been through referrals. And I need to figure out a different way of acquiring clients. Mm-hmm. Whether that's through content or outreach or certain kinds of paid marketing. I don't know, but I need to establish one, because with referrals, it's going to be a slow process.
Yeah, and you told us, how many clients have you gotten that weren't from referrals and that were just from people discovering you? I think it's a ridiculously small number, no?
Yeah, I think I did a year summary at the end of 2023, and it was maybe, I don't remember the total signups actually. I don't remember 50 signups, and maybe 2 were through Google and 48 through referrals.
Yeah. Last one from Sanjay. What you knew / thought to be true 2 years ago and think is bullshit now? And this can be regarding training, people, health, life, whatever.
Let me just push the timeline out a little bit more and say 5 years. 2 years is a little bit murky. That macros are king. Like, you just need to hit your macros. Again, tie this back with the nutrients and digestion and everything. 5 years ago, my whole approach was much less flexible. I thought everyone needed to do at least 10,000 steps. And then I got some actually really busy people and I realized, okay, well, 5,000 steps and a little bit less food gets the job done as well without suffering.
On the training side of things?
Oh, chest up, shoulder blades back and down on everything forever. This is how you do a bench press, a squat, a deadlift, a bicep curl, a tricep extension, and then you're surprised that you have back pain. Mm-hmm. That's one of the major ones.
Yeah. And that's one thing you've gotten really, really good at is just spine mobility. Just because, people just spend their whole lives in a specific position, right? And they just breathe into it for hours and hours a day.
Ties back in with the posture conversation. It's not about one specific posture that you want to spend time in. It's about, again, a variety of postures, a variety of body shapes.
Mm-hmm. And what have you learned about people, or maybe about yourself, throughout these past 5 years that you maybe thought before and that kind of changed? But I feel like that's where you made arguably the most improvement on, or where you changed your views maybe the most on. Part
of where our success came from was that I always took a lot of responsibility for clients' failures, basically. I think the easier someone points a finger at the client, the less likely they are to get a result with them. Mm-hmm. And I used to be that person that only ever pointed a finger at myself. Whoever signed up with me, it was always my fault. I was always to blame. I was not good enough, which was not on the training front only either, because this is how I lived my whole life. And as I did therapy and I realized, well, maybe I'm not as shit as I thought I was, I started pointing the finger at myself less and I realized I think I found a nice balance. Maybe it's still a little bit more in the client's favor. Like it still points, the finger still points at me a little bit too much still. But I got closer to balance where I realized some people you just cannot help. Some people you know that saying, you can be the nicest, juiciest, sweetest peach on earth, and there will just be people that fucking hate peaches. Oh. Mm-hmm. And it's the same when it comes to dating. It's the same when it comes to jiving with clients and providing them with what they need.
Yeah, you can't be a perfect fit for everyone. And yeah, on the balance side of things.
Yeah, and to be honest, whoever I'm not the perfect or the best fit for, good luck to them finding someone that actually manages to get the message through to them. Mm-hmm. Big-headed, but it's sadly true.
Yeah. And on the balance side of things, like one of the things you told me all the way, maybe like a year and a half ago almost when we first started, is it's you and the client against a problem. It's not you versus the client or the client versus you. And I think that's just something pretty important that just most PTs should have in mind when they're trying to help this person, because at the end of the day, you're trying to help this person. You're not trying to accuse of anything, and you're not trying to just throw problems at them.
Yeah, I think that just saying is true for every relationship where you try to solve a problem, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we get to my favorite portion of the podcast, which are the Mike Drury questions. These will be rapid fire. Who is your favorite client and why is it Mike?
See, okay. Yeah, it is Mike. He's the best, funny, gorgeous, smart. Shout out to Mike here on the picture. A lot of muscle as well. And yeah, okay, jokes aside, I love him. How can he ask and expect to be the favorite when he doesn't even listen to the podcast?
Yeah, I'll send this to him. Yeah. We still love you though. And he's incredibly strong.
Of course we love him. Yeah, crazy. Dumbbell pressing the 50s. Like, yeah, I have a hard time passing the dumbbells to him. Shout out to Mike.
Yeah, one time we were training at a gym and Mike was just coming in for cardio, right? Something super basic. he wasn't really expecting to train at all. And Mike just comes in and he's like, David's trying to convince him to do the 40 kg dumbbells, which is light work for Mike. And he just comes in, presses it, and is like, bye-bye, I'm going back on the bike. And I was just absolutely mesmerized. It's beautiful. It's like seeing a unicorn.
That's when I was trying to get to pressing the 40 kilo dumbbells for 8 reps, and he completely humiliated me in the middle of his cardio session without really warming up. He just pressed it 12 times to show me how to. He's also, like, without a doubt, the most impressive transformation here. Anyway, next question.
How long have you known Mike?
Too long. Next.
What is it that you like so much about Mike? Everything.
He's actually a really funny person, really good people skills, and extremely generous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just great guy. Yeah, sometimes Mike is such a just the type of energy he radiates is just absolutely positive and really, really good. Sometimes I go into the gym and I see Mike. He's on the cardio machine, and we just start talking. You know, we're just chit chatting, and he quite literally and every time I see him, without a fail, will make my day exponentially better. Like, I will literally come out of it smiling, laughing for however long we spoke. And that is just every time with him. He has such an energy that's kind of unmatchable. And yeah, he's just incredibly funny too.
Yeah, good for you, man. For me, it's a coin flip. 90% of the time, he will come in and brighten my day. 10% of the time, he will want to murder me. So yeah. But I'm happy for you.
Yeah, thanks. And is Mike your hero? Now, I'll answer this first. Yes, David.
Next.
Okay, these are the personal 3x3 and then rapid fire questions. So, 3 dream dinner guests. Who would it be and why?
I feel like... First of all, I've been waiting for someone to ask me this question for so long. How does nobody say putting Tesla and Musk at the same table? That would be some crazy conversation there. I wouldn't understand much, but I would be just like grabbing a bowl of popcorn. If it's not those two guys, I think I would do something like Tesla, Da Vinci, and some crazy person. Napoleon.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like just Musk catching up or telling Tesla about what's been going on lately and the advancements in technology would be just crazy. Like the ideas that could come out of that. Really?
It would be the other way around. Yeah, Tesla with his like wireless electricity and everything. Like Tesla had so many inventions, or I don't know. This is exactly why I want to talk to him.
3 bucket list items and why?
Are these like things to do or things to like achieve as well?
I think it'd be both.
I think I said them all already. Figuring out the business side of things, getting that second acquisition channel. 1. 87 kilos, 10% body fat. 2. I don't know. Diving in the Red Sea.
There you go. Anything you want to experience that's crazy, like skydiving or just driving a race car on a track, or just, you don't care about that, but like maybe flying out to space.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So the reason I didn't say any of those is because it's just a money thing, right? Like you book a week holiday or a 2-week-long holiday, and then if you have enough money for it, you just get them done, right? One is that's a little bit more difficult is maybe just Antarctica. Going to Antarctica, that would be awesome.
What attracts you about Antarctica? There's nothing there.
Exactly. It's just, I like these places where there's nothing, just a small chance of not surviving. A lot of ice, mountains, white, cold. It's cool. It's a little survival trip.
If no one knows, David wanted to go to Venezuela, one of the more dangerous countries on earth, and he invited me, and I called my mom. I was like, "Hey, Mom, is it okay if I go to Venezuela?" And she was like, "No, you're not going. Too dangerous." So David really likes things where he's almost gonna die. It's yeah.
Rule number 1 is when you go to a country where you're expecting to be shot, you tell your mom after.
Yeah, ask for forgiveness, not for permission. But I'm afraid even that would be out of the picture here with something like this. It is really, really far and like no contact and everything. She'd be pretty pissed. 3 favorite things about yourself.
I think I'm pretty funny when I'm chilled, when I'm relaxed enough. The fact that I'm never relaxed enough to be funny is a different question. I think my constant strive for growth and improvement is a good thing. Whether it's coming from a good place, that's a different question. But I do enjoy the improvement. The third one, I think when I commit to someone, not romantically, but in any sort of human relationship way, whether it's a client, an employee, a friend, a family member, partner, I take good care of them, I think.
Really good answers. Rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
This is when you were supposed to say, yeah, David, you're the best boss. You're so cool. Like, yeah, you take such good care of me. And you're just pampering me. Everyone loves you. Yeah. Don't even try anymore.
I was going to say you're
Next
really
question.
funny. Okay. I love you too. A book everyone should read.
It's a shit title. It's called Non-Violent Communication.
Okay.
It's such a weird title, but it's about how to communicate without labeling. It's something that doesn't come very easily to me, very naturally. I have to keep rereading it, but it's awesome.
Okay. Guilty
Marshall
pleasure?
B. Rosenberg or something.
Okay. Guilty pleasure?
Oh, Monster, and not sleeping. I love the night, and I love Monster.
Yeah, Monster is... What's your favorite flavor for the listeners?
Ultra Citron, yellow, discontinued.
Yeah. David has a bottle. 1. They go for like 15 pounds on Amazon or eBay. Crazy.
No.
Even more.
15
40,
pounds for
I think.
the empty can.
Oh.
For the empty can, yeah, exactly.
I can't believe there's an empty Monster can market.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has his bottle. He's going to keep it for like a super special occasion. And
exactly.
yeah. I think the best flavor that I've ever tried, I'll have to say purple. There's just something about it. You know, the grape just really hits the spot. David doesn't really like the purple too much.
I also happen to have about 100 cans of purple stocked up.
Exactly. Yeah. If you go in the room that's right behind this one. Is it discontinued?
Yep. I mean, I thought it was. It was discontinued in the UK, and then they didn't discontinue it anywhere else in Europe, so I just look like an idiot with my 100 cans of Purple Monster.
No. I'm very grateful for those 100 cans of Purple Monster.
You're the only person drinking them.
Nice. Let's keep it that way, please. Favorite exercise in the gym?
And I'm going to sound like such a pussy. I will be the first person here on the podcast that doesn't say a leg exercise, because everyone else is hardcore, and for me, it's every sort of lateral raise variation, one arm Y raise. Like, I sound like a softie, but it's so nice. For years, I've been trying to grow my delts, and they will always be my weakest body part. And now I have some muscle there, but just connecting with it nicely with the one arm Y raise is the best feeling ever.
Your delts are not a weak point anymore. I just want to say they're balanced with the rest of your body. Habit you've been proud
Pay increase coming.
That's how you do it, folks. Habit you're proud of being consistent with.
I don't know, there are habits that are newer that I'm not super consistent with yet, that I'm trying to integrate, such as I meditate every now and then, I journal every now and then. I started skipping in the morning with morning sunlight and everything. And there are other things that I'm not really proud of because they've been integrated for so long that it's just my identity, you know, like just doing a great job at what I do, just providing a good service, doing my check-ins on time. Just like, I don't think I should be proud of doing my job properly, going to the gym, being on my nutrition, you know, these kind of things just come naturally.
Mm-hmm. What would be like your dream habit to have? If you could, let's say there's a way to just like ingrain a habit in you, but just one. What would it be?
Approaching people with a smile.
Okay. Okay, interesting.
You?
I don't know if that counts, but not overthinking, maybe. Or just not being like contrarian. Maybe just going into conversations with like a little bit more like I'm trying to listen to what this person has to say instead of why are they wrong. It's the most annoying one, I think.
Right.
It doesn't happen.
I don't think you do it that much, to be honest.
Yeah, that's the thing.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of quit the worst one I had, so I'm pretty happy about that. And then any new one I can install. Yeah, again, like you said, there's a bunch of stuff that, that are the basics that are somewhat expected just because we live this type of lifestyle, right? Staying on top of your nutrition, supplements, training, stuff like that. But, especially people like us, you shouldn't really congratulate yourself for that because it's just your new normal. Thing under $100 that you can't live without.
My Lumi lamp that gradually brightens the room up. Like it's an alarm lamp, not yours, not the LED. Nope. Not the sad lamp that just like blasts in your face, but the one that you set an alarm and instead of it waking you up with sound, it wakes you up with light gradually. It's amazing, life-changing.
How much of a
and my mouth tape.
Yeah, mouth tape. Both excellent answers. How much better is the one that wakes you up than the one I have, for example?
Well, the one you have to be woken up for to use. So much better for me anyway, because it's the waking up that bothers me.
Oh, okay. Favorite quote?
Favorite quote?
And you're a quote man, you love quotes. This will be a good one, folks.
I was going to say this is a hard one. There are so many. Nothing is true, everything is permitted. It's the Assassin's Creed quote, but I actually read the book that Assassin's Creed was based on, and it's from there. It was the slogan of the assassins. It came up in one of my ayahuasca experiences as well. It just means don't take everything at face value. Ask questions, push boundaries, question the authority, and this approach has always worked out for me. I'm not like a massive rebel or a big bad boy, but knowing how to push boundaries, I think is a great skill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, super interesting.
Wait, maybe I'm saying it wrong. Not pushing boundaries. I'm not like, oh my God, I'm like, my heart rate is 200. I'm like physically pushing boundaries, but like knowing which rules you can break.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, super interesting. What is your favorite cuisine? And I'm going to send this to my mom, so be careful.
Jamaican. Okay, your mom's date rice is insane. Like my favorite dish is your mom's date rice. Favorite cuisine? Jamaican, man. Nothing compares. Everything else is so one-dimensional.
I don't think I've ever had, maybe once or twice. What's your favorite dish from there?
People just have jerk chicken and they're like, yeah, Jamaican cuisine. My favorite dish is oxtail.
Oh, I think, I've had that once. Incredible.
Every dish is incredible, yeah.
A thought that is constantly on your mind nowadays.
If someone popped into my head, they would be disappointed to see how much of my thoughts revolve around mechanics, thinking about how the body moves, and thinking about training stuff, joints, tissues, how machines move. It's been like that for like 5 years. It's sad, but I enjoy it.
Even when you're not in the gym?
Yeah, always.
Oh, that explains maybe why you're so good at this. I mean, it's
an illness.
Yeah.
Combine
though. It's kind of incredible.
Autism with interest, and this is what you get.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. I think that's the end of it. That's all the questions we have. Do you want to touch on anything or say some nice words for the audience?
Want to touch on you, buddy. Thank you for hosting me, sir.
My door's open. And it was a pleasure.
And thank you for dressing up. For the listeners, Arsia is in a full suit.
With
and I'm
jeans,
sitting here in a
however.
t-shirt. You're like a news reporter, man. You don't even have to wear pants. Overrated.
Yeah, but I could have completely went like full-on COVID remote work underwear. No. I still have an ounce of self-respect, so I put jeans on.
Okay.
I loved it. Okay. Should we stop here?
Let's stop here. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.